Can one plugin replace an entire vocal chain? In today's video, we're gonna find out. I'm gonna replace this entire vocal chain I put together with one single plugin from Waves. Which plugin? This, Waves Silk Vocal. Silk Vocal is an all-in-one style processor that combines the functions of a parametric EQ, de-esser, dynamic EQ, and vocal compressor. It promises to cut down on your workflow time significantly with its intuitive interface and adaptive processes. After using it myself, I realized that this plugin is great for addressing some common vocal mixing problems such as muddiness, harsh frequencies, sibilance, noise, and more. In a lot of ways, I feel like this is Waves' answer to Soothe 2, but with a few more bells and whistles, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But let me address the elephant in the room. No, this isn't a sponsored video, but Waves did give me early access to the plugin at checkout, so I can make this video for you guys right here on YouTube. Now, before I embrace the challenge promised at the beginning of this video, you should know that Waves is giving away Silk Vocal for a limited time only during Black Friday weekend, which is when this video should be live. So if you're watching this over Black Friday weekend, I encourage you to hit the link in the description down below right away and get access to this plugin for free. And if you happen to miss the boat on that, I'll still leave the link down there for you to check out if you end up being interested. So let's see if we can now use Silk Vocal to achieve a similar result to my original vocal chain on this track that I mixed for Everything Oeksound called Savage by Fenty. The original vocal chain on the release song is 8 plugins: a gate, a de-esser, a subtractive EQ, a vocal compressor, a multiband compressor, a saturator, another compressor, and some additive EQ. Here's what that original mixed vocal sounds like.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey.
I've already duplicated this audio onto a new track, but instead of those 8 plugins I originally showed you, I'm going to have one single instance of the Waves Silk Vocal. I'm going to dial in some settings here, and towards the end of the video, we're actually going to compare the two and see how they stack up against one another. The first thing you're going to do when you open up this plugin is choose the voice type between male or female. Now, Everything Oeksound is a male, so I'm going to leave it set to male, but of course, if you're using this yourself, you may want to switch it to the other setting depending on the vocalist. Next, I usually use a gate if necessary to clean up the vocal performance, particularly what's happening during pauses in between vocal phrases, and this usually includes stuff like headphone bleed, body movement, or even other unwanted sounds. Now in this case, and you'll notice it when I play it in solo mode, there's some headphone bleed on the recording, so I'm going to want to use the gate to help reduce its presence overall. So all we're going to do is play this and increase the gate knob here and ultimately see if we can reduce the presence of that headphone bleed that's taking place, but without creating too many weird cutoffs with the vocal performance. Here we go.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey, hey. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey, hey.
Now, the truth is gates aren't always perfect, and that's why obviously a lot of times it makes sense to actually go in and edit out any headphone bleed or pauses or moments in between to manually control them yourself. However, in this case, I'm going to be lazy and just solely rely on the gate, and you can hear that it's cleaning up most of the noise. Again, it's not 100% perfect, but it's doing the job well enough here, and there is still the odd moment that's cutting through, especially when it's happening simultaneously with Oeksound's performance. But I want to make sure I don't set this too aggressively either, because towards the end of the phrase, I notice what's happening is these kind of moments, they're getting cut off by the gate, and I don't want that to happen. I need everything to still come through pretty cleanly, but I do want to tame that noise in between, and so far we are able to do that using the Silk Vocal plugin. The next thing I'm going to do is audition the high pass filter, which filters frequencies below 60 Hz at a 72 decibel octave. This takes place pre-processing, which means it happens before it hits the other modules in the plugin. Let's audition this and see if it helps clean up some of that low-end rumble or just any low-end muddiness that might be present on the vocal, but without thinning it out too much.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD.
That's pretty good, and I would actually love to see this potentially expanded in the future with a frequency selector, as sometimes I don't filter at exactly 60 hertz. I'm interested to know why they chose 60 hertz in particular. Next, we could dial in the 3 process knobs to attenuate problematic frequency pockets within the vocal. A simple explanation of this is as you increase any of the process knobs here, you're going to automatically apply some sort of resonant frequency reduction within that frequency band that the knob is affecting. So as I increase this low one, it's going to reduce the resonant frequencies in the low frequency band of the plugin. This reduction will happen dynamically, meaning it'll vary over time based on the input volume of the material, sometimes reducing things a bit more and sometimes a little bit less. We could solo each frequency band by clicking on the headphone button at the bottom of each process knob. So right now we're soloing the low band and we'll only hear the low frequencies. I'll be able to see the impact of my reduction on the analysis graph underneath the process knob, and if I really want to be careful, I can listen to the delta, or just the difference between the input signal and what we are losing, right here by pressing this delta button. Let's start with the low process knob first, which focuses on frequencies between 20 and 300 hertz.
They work hard looking like Edie. Shit, they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. Shit savage, like Fenty. Shit, they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey, hey. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. Shit, they work hard looking like Edie. Shit, they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup.
That seems to be pretty good, and notice how I don't really want to push this too far, because otherwise we're going to thin out the vocal. When I pushed it closer to the max setting, things were sounding way too thin, and that's not what we want, right? We still want to have some of that low end so that we still have that warmth, that presence, that punch, but of course we want to use this to clean out the low end as well, and where I have it now sounds pretty clean, right? We're taming it a little bit, but not too much to the point where the vocal is overly thin. Next, let's use the mid knob to tame mid-range harshness such as boxy, nasally, or honky parts between 300 and 4 kilohertz. We can also adjust the frequency range sliders here, which will allow us to focus in on a more specific part of that band. Otherwise, if we leave it as is, it's going to be affecting from 300 all the way up to 4K, but we may want to just zero in on a very specific part as we do this. So let's do it together.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey, hey. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD.
So that seems to be pretty good. I have adjusted the frequency sliders right, so I'm actually filtering somewhere between 879 hertz all the way up to 4K, so I'm basically not touching that low-mid sort of boxy area and instead focusing all of this processing towards that mid-frequency range where the vocals are really sitting, especially the nasally, the sizzly, the honky type of sounds, right, which I feel like this vocal has a little bit more of that in terms of problems than it does on the low end. So setting it here around 35 was pretty good. We could obviously hear the delta, and you could hear that when I push this too far, again, we're getting this unnatural sound, and that's something that I want to avoid. Let's now circle back and focus on the high knob here, and this high knob focuses mostly on sibilants and frequencies above 4 kilohertz. There's honestly quite a bit of harsh sibilants on this record, so I might play this and really focus in on a sibilant part with a tight loop to properly address it. So my apologies in advance if that's what happens. Here we go.
She's savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. She's savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. She's savage, like Fenty. She they work hard looking like Edie. She they know French talking like wee wee. She's savage, like Fenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She's savage, like Fenty.
So it's important to find the right setting for this, as you can imagine, because as I push this up closer to that maximum setting, we're definitely starting to create some unnatural sounds, right? It almost creates a lisp because it's just clamping down. This is really like a de-esser, right? It's clamping down aggressively on the S. Doesn't really sound that great. It's obviously making the vocal sound unnatural. So we want to find a place where we're able to just tame it and not do a lot of damage, just like the other bands we've been talking about here. We really got to find that sweet spot. Now we can further manipulate how the process knobs affect our vocal by manipulating the speed and precision settings here. Speed controls the attack and release simultaneously and can really alter the tone of how the processing affects your material. Precision, on the other hand, is almost like a Q on an EQ. It determines how narrow or broad the processing is on the frequency spectrum. If it's more broad, it's affecting more frequencies, while if it's narrow, it's more accurate and focused, but potentially at the expense of creating artifacts. Let's adjust the speed first and try to find the sweet spot for it.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Eh, eh. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Eh, eh.
So right here seems pretty good. I've actually slowed it down from where we initially had it, and I think that actually leads to a more natural sound. It makes sense, right? With a slower attack and release, it's going to just sound smoother and more gradual, whereas the faster setting that we had before really worked aggressively, worked faster, and made it more noticeable. Next, let's adjust the precision. We have two choices here. We can go towards the sharp or narrow side, or we can go to the smooth or broad side. Let's figure it out as we play this.
Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Eh, eh. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty.
I like that. I think having it more narrow overall is probably going to be a little bit better because it'll be a little bit more accurate or focused. However, I still always want to be mindful as I'm setting this of any potential artifacts or degradation in the audio quality that might happen as I speed this up. If it's sounding too off, I'll back off and find a more natural setting, which is probably going to be a slower setting or a smoother setting. So now the next thing I want to do is focus on the dynamic section here, and I'm really going to use this to achieve some sort of compression, right? To even out the vocal, to balance it, and ultimately make it sound fuller. Before I do that though, I want to make sure that my makeup gain is enabled. This is automatically going to apply makeup gain based on the amount of compression that we are achieving. With this setting on, Silk will analyze the RMS and peak of the input signal and compare it to the same measurements of the process signal and basically make up for that difference dynamically. You can also turn the makeup gain off and instead decide to manually add makeup gain using the output, but I'm trying to be lazy here and take advantage of all the automated processing that Silk Vocal has to offer. I'm honestly not sure what exact settings are being used for the compressor, so like the ratio, the knee, and the other settings related to this, as it's simply one slider with no other parameters. But what I do know is that as you bring it down, it's going to apply more compression and also increase the makeup gain, assuming that you have the makeup gain applied. That being said, let's apply compression here using the slider directly.
Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Eh, eh. Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Eh, eh.
That seems to be a good place to leave it. I'm definitely adding a lot of gain here. You could hear that volume difference, but overall we're getting a more consistent and balanced vocal sound, but also without sacrificing any volume, once again thanks to that makeup gain. Now at this point I'd like to compare this to our original vocal chain and just see how this single waves plugin stacks up against 8 plugins from a variety of manufacturers. Let's check this out. Here we go.
Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. She did no French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She's savage, like Fenty. She did work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey, makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She dey work hard looking like Edie. She dey know French talking like wee wee. Makeup, got plenty. She savage, like Fenty. She dey work hard looking like Edie. I can manage like you GD. Hey.
Now that's pretty damn close, and I'm impressed here. And there's definitely some tonality differences between these, but the truth is that Silk has been more focused on problem solving exclusively, whereas my original vocal chain was a combination of problem solving in the first half with some enhancement towards the end. For that reason, this may not have been a totally fair shootout, but I do think that Silk held its own, all things considered. So can one plugin replace an entire vocal chain? I'd say almost, but maybe yes, actually, depending on the scenario. Overall, I think Silk Vocal is a great addition to your mixing plugin arsenal, especially if you can nab it for free this Black Friday 2023 weekend. So I definitely once again recommend that if you haven't checked this out yet, hit the link in the description down below, get access to the plugin for free, and test it out in your own sessions and see how you fare. Now, if you want to learn more about vocal chains, click the video you see on screen right now to watch me break down a drill vocal chain I did for this same artist, Everything Oeksound. I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you got value out of it, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.